Good day. Well, when I first turned on the preparation for the recording, I noticed that it said Thursday. I was like, oh, did I forget? And I read it closely, and it says, oh, Free For All Friday. Well, I got half of it right. I'll go and fix that after Mass. I'm glad you guys realized. So maybe some might miss initially the live part, but that's okay. So good day. It is Friday, December 20th, 2024. Good day, Denise. Hello, CJ, Sister Jeannie, and Brad. Good to see you all here. Hope you slept better than me. This thing in my throat is really hard to get rid of. Hello, CW. I did a golden milk, it's called, which was really helpful. Might do another one or two of those today. Turmeric and cardamom and black pepper and what else was in there? Ginger and coconut milk, warmed up, and some honey to give it some palatability. All right, we're going to get right into what's going on in the world of what shall we say, usury, because basically that's what it is. We're in the world of negotiable instruments and usury, and again, we're trying to escape from that into a world where yes means yes, no means no, and there isn't that ability to steal people's wealth through a medium of exchange and paper trickery. So let's get started with the Good Day Rising prayers after I get a drink of water. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostrae, Dei Nisum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, and in Catholic contemplation humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O most Holy Trinity, relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O most Holy Trinity, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of Thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven and for the souls in purgatory. O most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the most Holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. O most Holy Trinity, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most Holy Trinity, as envisioned by Saint Lucia as the most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, because they offend thee, O most Holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. All right, so we'll start with the IRS. I called them, and I think I mentioned that to you. I called them last week, and they had said, basically treated as if they didn't receive the money orders that I had sent in. And I'm almost sure the reason is that because so many are sending them in now, this is causing the Treasury Department, which is mainly run by the small hats. They cannot have us receiving remedy and relief, okay? That just goes against everything that they're working for as far as this world order thing. Excuse me, especially those people who are good, and good-hearted and want to share and help others. So, did some more digging, and basically it's just a lot of research and learning. So I found out about the Bill of Exchange, which we understand a money order is defined as, it can be a bill of exchange. Money orders, negotiable instruments, they kind of all fall in the same category with slight differences. Drafts, checks, money orders, etc. So, however, there's one specific thing that they call a bill of exchange, and it's more used as an international bill of exchange between companies or countries who are from abroad or not in the same country. However, they consider us to be foreigners, so it appears that in their manual that for the manual for the employees, and again, this isn't verbatim, but it basically says if you receive a bill of exchange, pack all the information up and send it over to the Treasury Department, this one particular room, and that's it. Whereas it says if you as an employee of the IRS receive pieces of paper or payments that have these characteristics, and it lists the ones kind of like the ones that we were sending in. It says do not process them. It's flat out. And that, again, that change to their manual occurred just this past May. So we know for a fact that they are discouraging that type of payment. Doesn't mean that it's illegitimate. It just means that they're discouraging that. And again, these are non-bank payments, but they're very specific and they're very clever, because even within their own instructions to the employees are going to misunderstand it, because I could see where it didn't mean to not process all of them. It just meant to not process the ones with certain characteristics. Okay, but because some of the characteristics were in there, they were told not to process them. All right, so I forwarded off a copy of what I sent to the taxpayer advocacy service, which is in each state. So each state has their own advocacy. I asked them to review it and to force or make sure that they do process the instruments. And in the meantime, they sent me another bill, all right, saying that I still owed for tax year 2022 because I didn't figure withholding correctly, which I didn't figure at all, but I mean, I had somebody help me with it. And we made that mistake. In any case, so I decided to do a bill of exchange for that amount and really dig in a little bit deeper. And I think I got it really close, so I sent that out last week as well. Now, according to their manual instructions, they're supposed to take that bill of exchange with the bill from the IRS and send it right over to the Treasury Department, this one particular room, for processing through FedWire. That's the only part I'm not 100% sure is whether or not I got the FedWire part right. And then they're not there to help you, so you have to do this trial and error thing. Again, I did doing everything in good faith. I want to do it right, etc. So that's that part. Now, I got a phone call from the credit union that provided the quote-unquote funds or money for the motorhome that disappeared. The funds disappeared. The motorhome never existed. And that was from the fraud department, and they wanted me to give them more information about the fraud and contact and whatnot. And so I sent an email back, and I was talking to the guy and telling him all about it. And so then he said, I'll email you so you can look up the information and send it back to me. And I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, and at the end of the conversation, I asked him, and does the credit union still expect me to pay this note? Because I never received any consideration. And he said, well, yes, you authorized us to wire the funds to this guy. So I looked, and that's why it's very, very clever of them how they always want you to take the responsibility, which is okay, because you should be more careful. So now what we have to do is understand where the funds that they sent came from. And this is where there's only, in my opinion, there's only one or two in each of these funding institutions, these banks, credit unions, etc., who really understand how this system works. All right, so what I'm going to do is go over that basically so that you can kind of understand it. It's just, like I mentioned yesterday, you have to completely rethink the way things are. And this is part of their clever deception. And again, it is absolutely demonic. Just the way they make us, or not make us, but trick us into thinking Jesus of Nazareth was God Jesus Christ, or, double names, Jesus, Mary, Our Lady, that sort of thing. They did that with banking. So because they wanted everybody to think that paying means using whatever is in your bank account that you put there through your work or through whatever, and those are Federal Reserve notes or numbers. They're just numbers now mostly. You don't even get the notes anymore. You just get numbers. So when you put those into your bank and then you use them, they make you think that that's what you have to pay with. Now we know now that there's two entities that are created at birth. And I'm going to read this just so you can kind of get an understanding of birth. Okay? So what we do is, this is part of what I'm going to be sending them, is the definition of a person is, we're going to explain this to them. The definition of the term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, a state, partnership, association, company, or corporation. That's from 26 USC, US code, that is. USC is US code. The definition of certificate is statement of some fact in a writing signed by the party certifying. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. The definition of live birth means the complete expulsion or extraction from its mother of a product of conception, irrespective of the duration of pregnancy, which after such separation breathes or shows any other evidence of life, such as beating of the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles, whether or not the umbilical cord has been cut or the placenta is attached. I'm not getting into abortion and whether or not that's a baby or life. We're just strictly talking about live birth, the definition of live birth. Okay? Okay, the certificate of live birth is a statement of fact that a live birth occurred. Typically, there are aspects of the live birth, such as the placenta, which is abandoned and left for disposal by the mother. This could be other parts of the birth, such as the umbilical cord. Okay, it goes on to list the state in which this is occurring, and that is, in fact, a subcorporation of the United States. Okay, so each state. So what happens? Well, let me give you some clarification more on that certificate of birth, or that birthing. When born, my mother abandoned the various products of conception. Okay, we talked about that, the placenta and the umbilical cord and the other parts. These products were part of the live birth, and the certificate of live birth involves only those abandoned products, not the male or female body of which I possessed and inhabit to this day. All right, so there's two parts here. The certificate of live birth is a document that is an abandonment and naturalization document. It is a document that shows the products of the live birth were abandoned, and it also is my mother conferring the nationality of the state of whatever, New York, New Hampshire, California, etc., upon the abandoned products of the conception after birth by any means whatsoever. This effectively naturalized what was assumed to be me falsely into the District of Columbia. All right, later if you want, play this back again so you can get it again. That's where the twist, that's where that flip and the deception is. There is a specific line on my certificate of live birth entitled Date Received by Local Health Officer. And the certificates are not necessarily on the ones that you get from the hospital, but they're the ones that are at the state. Okay, it's more like the application for the certificate of live birth. And you'll see it because I wrote to the state of New York, because that's where I was born, and received a copy of that years ago. And I didn't know that years ago at the time that this is what was their intention. So this date, okay, date received by the local health officer, is the date that a public corporation trust estate was opened as a legal fiction which represents the abandoned products of conception. Okay, and they put your name in all caps on that certificate as that product of conception. Okay, this product corporation trust estate is represented by my name, converted into a trade name or doing business as name of my name in all capital letters. This corporation trust estate is a person, as per most definitions found of the word. The birthday of the person, all caps, is the date that their certificate of live birth was received by the local health officer of the state. All right, you get that? So that's where they tricked. Now you think that you are that. You think that that is you. You were never told this, that there's two separate entities. One being a natural person and one being a corporate, if you will. And they confuse it with the definition of individual. So we had to define the word individual in here as well, so that we say, well, when we use the word individual, we mean it in our contracts to mean the real living natural person. Because they'll try to trick you into say, well, individual is the corporate person. And that's been shown to be true where it's either or. But when you send in a letter of novation like this, clarifying everything, that's where it becomes contract. Okay, so I'm going to conclude here today that there are two persons at play here. One is a natural and the other is a public corporation. The public corporation is used as a buffer or flow-through for all commercial transactions. And it is agreed through this novation that the trade name, all caps, will be the primary person mentioned on all documents in litigation, and then the natural person, my regular name, upper and lowercase, hyphen colons, speaks on behalf of the public corporation because the public corporation cannot speak or write. Okay, the natural person, natural, will not be the one entering jurisdiction into any court and he will be using naturalization in order to move the all caps name into the court. But it is agreed by all parties that he is still operating pro se in the courts, as he is still presenting in his own name. And again, with what we're planning here, we're not planning on being physically in the courts. It just means with this paperwork as we go there. Because, as we'll continue, one more thing that I want to go over real quick before I quit for today with the instruction is that on all lending documents, quote-unquote lending documents that you sign, that says you're promising to pay back or whatever, when you sign that with no other words added to your name, around your name, above your name, below your name, etc., that is an open endorsement. It allows them, it's like writing a blank check. Most people do not go around writing blank checks. But yet, because we don't know the definitions of these financial words, like open endorsement, we just assume that that's, it is what it is. What's interesting is I looked at the document that I signed openly, open endorsement, and it has a finance charge separated from the amount loaned, quote unquote loaned, and the total. As soon as I signed that instrument, the funds were created instantly. That instrument then became equal to the dollars, the total dollars written on that instrument. Okay, the loan amount plus interest. What the bank does, or the financial institution, after you give that to them, they receive it, they take it, okay, they go to their accounting department, they turn it over, and they put a stamp on it. Okay, they stamp the back of it, and it usually says something to the effect of pay to the order of, names the institution, then there's a line for a signature with the title of that officer. Okay, so what? And now you're scratching your head like I was scratching my head. I really wasn't at the time. I was just, and this isn't on my particular one because mine is digital, and I don't actually see the physical one at the office, their office. But there are samples, and if you have an original mortgage or something that's a loan that's paid off, or if you work in an institution and where you can get a hold of these and turn them over and see, you actually see that stamp there. What do they do with that? They take that and they consider that now a asset on their books. Okay, so they take, let's just say the total came to $50,000. They take that $50,000 now and consider it an asset on their book of $50,000, like I just gave them $50,000. Okay? And they're allowed to do that. So they created $50,000 as an asset. They can, which is what we're going to be asking them to do, then take that note and take it to the Federal Reserve discount window and deposit it or exchange it, not deposit it. They call it a deposit, but it's more of an exchange. It's like they're cashing a check. The discount means that the Federal Reserve is going to take their cut out of that. So they might get $48,000 back, but they'll get that back in Federal Reserve notes, and the paper will go off to the Federal Reserve. So now you're scratching your head again and say, okay, so they just paid the Federal Reserve just paid off my note, that note, but there's more there. So there was the interest in addition to what was mailed or wired to the crooks who stole the money, and I got nothing. But this is how we learn, right? So, and here I am thinking, I was like, well, if they didn't do this, I wouldn't be doing this to share this and learn about it. So, so be it. So now the interest is another large amount that the bank makes, okay, and keeps on their books. Then they are still asking me to pay all of that back, the initial loan amount plus the interest. So they're getting paid 2.5 times, or at least, okay, what they claim they loaned me, and they didn't loan anything. This is complete fraud, and it was never disclosed, and they didn't tell me that the credit came from me, the living being, or let's just say, because of my efforts to sign as I used the word back there before, the one who controls the all caps trust. Okay, the trust is where that is the accounting is being taken care of. So apparently, and I've been speaking with a gentleman who's advising me on this, this is how you can get your motorhome, get your new motorhome. Okay, so it may end up that they ignore it. They may make counter offers. They may totally deny it. But we'll take that one step at a time. They have to return their communication by affidavit, and signed by an individual, somebody who will take responsibility. Most times they don't respond. They ignore you. Okay, and then we will continue the process of noticing them, the administrative process, because they do that to us. They do that to you. If you can't pay your bill 1 month, they'll send another bill the next month and say, well, you didn't pay your bill this month, so now you're gonna be responsible for this. Or if you don't pay that car payment, we're gonna come take your car. And they process, they follow through, they do all the way through, and they get judgment, and then they come and take your car or your house, okay? Even though they've been paid for it, okay? But because you don't respond, you don't know how to respond, that's what happens. We're getting to the point where we're going to be stopping this. To be honest with you, I just want to be a priest, but this is that's part of it, I guess. All right. It's truth, okay? We have to stop the lies and the deceit, in whatever form it takes. All right, so pray for me on this. This novation for the motorhome thing is going to go out today or tomorrow, and we'll begin that 30-day process. We'll give them 30 days to respond, and then shortly after. And you can write these up however you want. There's a good general guide that was given to me to go by, and then I added my different things. So if they decide to try to send this to collections before we get this resolved, they agree in this novation that they'll pay a penalty for that. And if they report negatively to the credit bureaus, there's a penalty for them doing that. There are lots of things that you can add in there, because contracts are wide open. You can add them however you want. And because they're on the fraud side of things, they don't have much leg to stand on. So let's pray that I can understand this fully and follow through accurately, and that the IRS employees understand this and try to get this thing settled before they take down the rest of world with other events and things and viruses and all those other things that they're trying to scare us with. Oh, drones. Yes, I was right. Who knows? There's so much evil in the works right now. It's hard to stay hopeful, but this gives us hope, learning about this. All right. Let's begin Mass. And again, remember, no Mass tomorrow. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote. Oremus. O most holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hoc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulos tuus affediti Deum meum vivum et verum, pro in mirabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus sere pro omnibus fidelibus catholicorum vivis atque defunctis ut mihi ilis proficiat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitatem mirabilite condivisi et mirabilis reformaster da nobis spiritus atque divinum ministerium, eis divinitatis esse consortis divinitatis nostrae fieri natis is parteceps, Deum Iesum Christum Filium qui ticum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum deprecantis clementium ut conspecto divinae maestatis tuae pro nostra totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam ad Deum Iesum Christum, et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum et conspecto tuo holi eu placiat tibi Deum matram nostrae Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, veni sanctificator Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificita velata prosequendo, et acapere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas concoblationem quam tibi afferimus amamorem passiones, resurrectiones et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Deum Matronum Nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Istorum et Omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem et idi pro nobis intercedere dinenter in caelis quorum homorum agimus in telis per Deum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat ab Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nominis sui ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, sursum corda habemus a Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te egito clementes me mater pater, et Deum Matram Nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum Nostrae, supplices rogamus et petimus, uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas, haec sanctam sacrificium irribata. In primis quae tibi afferimus, pro ecclesiam tuum sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodire honore et regere dignitis tot orbiterarum aeque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum quituorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. Pray for Katie, Gage, RM, Brad, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Letitia, Mark Jr., Henry, Barbara and Benedict Santa Croce, the Cantu and Duarte families, Sarah and Becky, Michaela McLarnon and family, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Line Weber family, Johann Sandman, the Cahill, Kendrick, Dasco, Nye, Tafur, Began, Wolf, and Kane families. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. And we pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanction of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a worldwide Catholic monarchy and system with different monarchs in each area and nation, with sound Catholic systems of labor, human value, and medium of exchange, with no usury and no no secondary citizens. All these things mentioned and intentions mentioned here on these pieces of paper, we ask to be done according to thy most holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium coram tibi fides cognita est et non devotio pro quibus tibi ferimus, vel quid tibi offerent hoc sacrificium laudis processuisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credum vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriosae semper Dei matram nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papa Sancte Petri, et Sancti Luci, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum corum meditis praecibusque cancedas ut in omnibus protectionis tuae, muniam et exilio periendum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilem efficere dignitis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi Filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam patraetor accepit debanam in sanctis ac honorabilis manus suas. Et derivatis oculis in caelum at Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotent et divi gratias agens. Consecravit. Frege didique lumis sui dicens accipite et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo postquam ceremonia est accipienser hunc preglarum calicem et sanctus ac honorabilis manus suas identibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecrave didique lumis sui dicens accipite et vivite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calic sanguinis mei, mystadium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. Aequates cum purificeritis in memoria facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servituis et plebs tua sancta Iustum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, tambe et passiones nec non et inferis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensionis, offerimus praeclare maestati tui de tuis donis ac datis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vultur respicieri digneris. Supplices te ragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum iube hec perfere per manus tuum ut quod ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem simsenimus, omni sanctificatione caelestia gratia Dei per amor periendum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for the Wittering family for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Dei omnibus in Christum quiscentibus, locum refugere lucis et pacis ut odor gesta proclamor per inum Christum Deum nostrum. Perquam hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, Matronam Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Sanctam tuam in mulieribus, Dea Matronam Nostrae, Materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quaesimus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Dei Matronam Nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem mendibus nostris, ut ope misericordiae Tuae aduit et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per indum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Haec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat excipientibus nobis in et salutem aeternam. Pax tecum et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam Nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinem tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper in harare mandatis, et unum cum separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnum aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in dignus sumere praesum, non mihi proveniat in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit mihi ad tutum et impetis corporis et adame delam percipiendam, qui vivis et reinas cum Deum Matronam Nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem calestum accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam Nostrae non sunt dignus, ut interceptectum meis, in tanti diguerbos in paternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, ut interceptectum meis, in tanti diguerbos in paternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, ut interceptectum meis, in tanti diguerbos in paternam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum, custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retribuit mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem in nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum Matronam Nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvus erum. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quod ora subsumus Deum Iesum Christum, puramente capiamus et timore te parae fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Gottesum Dei Jesum Christum quod sit sanguis quam pataviet heriet vis geribus meis, et praestaud in me non remaniat scelerum macula quam pura, et sancta reficerunt sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins, and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, ite mise est. Deum gratia. Gratia tibi sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis meae, et praestaud sacrificium cod oculis tuae majestatis in nus auctoditi piseta captavere mique et omnibus, proquibus idut auctoliciti miserante propitiabile pecursum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum Matronam, et Filium, et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O most holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinity, Deum Matronam nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Thank you for listening and for participating, saying your rosary, and all those good things. One thing I wanted to, I've been thinking of, because somebody else mentioned it, in all these words that are on these papers that you have to get defined. If you go to etymology.com, or I'm not sure if it's etymology.com, but etymology, there's an app or something that you can put on your browser or on your phone, where you can find out where the origin of words came from, at least in the English sense anyway. They do have Latin too, because a lot of it comes from Latin. But it was interesting. Family, okay, what we think of family as family today is totally not what it originally meant. So when people challenge you on, on words and how God couldn't have meant that, it's like, well, wait a minute. If over time words change their meaning entirely to mean something else, um, you think that the Most Holy Trinity doesn't understand that we get things so botched up that we don't even know what we're talking about sometimes? So don't get hung up too much on obviously we have to have agreement and understanding. So when we're talking to each other, we should define our terms so that we both, okay, well, that's what it means to you, that's what it means to me, we agree, then we can conversate. But if you're arguing with somebody and you haven't defined the terms and the meanings of the words, it's futile. It's really futile. Anyway, that's my point for today. So family meant the servants. It meant the servants of the parents and the children. It's very interesting, isn't it? So, all right, please go and sanctify all those who meet today. I will see you Sunday. Please have a great day tomorrow and pray a couple extra rosaries. All right, have a great day.